one of those people embracing that is actually in some department stores there isn't a great mobile signal. Mobile phone penetration isn't kind of great through large walls. But actually a number of people are putting in free Wi-Fi. John Lewis, kind of O2, Tesco, Starbucks, actually help people use that. Whether some of those in the T's and C's then able to look at, where are people spending their time, which price comparison sites and everything else, depends what's kind of happening. But also kind of seeing competitor activity, barcode scanners have been around for a while for price comparison. Actually image recognition, if you don't have the barcodes out, maybe people won't buy from your competitor. But Amazon have an app, take a picture of something, and it just does image recognition to allow you to buy it straight from Amazon. But actually, one of the dangers here is customer service in inverted commas. A friend of mine was actually asked to leave HMV for price comparing. Actually, if you kind of look backwards in time, people were trained to think someone coming in with a camera is probably from a competitor. Actually, are your store staff ready to deal with kind of how consumer behaviour has changed in the store? What impact does that kind of have? And actually, how many sales might be lost as a result of some of these things? Maybe it's a one-off, it's all about individuals and things kind of from there. But actually, kind of location is also really important. It's important for a number of different things. Actually, just a couple of words first. So, location technologies, lots of things, AGPS, Sister GPS, Wi-Fi, Cell ID, NSA, lots of different technologies can give you a location. Don't necessarily need to worry too much about those, you just need to understand your context, make sure someone that does understand these things, you're building a good location service. Geofence. Everyone know what a geofence is? If not, basically, imagine we've got a spot that's John, draw a circle around him, or a polygon in this case, and that's a geofence. This is one actually I drew on Rightmove last night, where you can search for houses. It's actually fairly expensive to live around here, if any of you want to kind of have a look. But the point here is actually, consumers are drawing these geofences, and the principle here is you want to be in that area. So from an advertising perspective, actually when someone crosses one of those lines, give them an advert. That's the kind of principle of kind of geofence. And lots of people, actually, 6 in 10 are using location services on their phone. I'm willing to bet pretty much most of you have used Google Maps or something else. Is there anyone who hasn't used a location service on their phone? No one's going to admit it anyway. Did you find your allotment with location services? Or do you already know where it is? But actually, when it comes to kind of location, there are 2 types of targeting. Everyone knows about the one on the left. It's direct response. Starbucks, offer, come around the corner right now. But there's another one that's really important, and I'm going to try a little quirky demo here. I'm going to be a little bit brave. So if I get down like this and do this now, I might look like I'm either a bit weird or I'm just a Johnny Wilkinson fan. But if I now step 3 steps over here and do it to this young lady here, the context completely changes. And if I did it to John, again, kind of changes from there. The point here is that doing the same thing a few meters or tens of meters or something apart changes the context of what you are and what you're about to do. Actually, someone sitting inside a Starbucks drinking a coffee is a different context to someone walking past outside. So actually, if you can get that granularity of location or take it into account, it makes a difference. Someone in the business lounge at an airport, you can deduce some things about them. So if you're thinking about location, think not just about the direct response and what's nearby, but think about the context of the people who are going to be there and the behaviour that kind of comes with it. And distance kind of changes. So this survey last year kind of asked what's most important when you're within 1 mile or 10 miles of a store and kind of seeing an ad. And actually kind of in both, customer reviews and sales and promotions are, number 1 and number 2. Actually, in the US, they're the other way around. The US wants sales and promotions more, UK kind of here. Big difference here is as you get further away from this location, suddenly the product availability leaps in at number 3, becomes much more important about travel time. Again, kind of showing that someone's location is important to what you should be presenting them and the experience you should be driving them through. Now, one of the problems about kind of location is kind of relative lack of scale, but where there is some scale to drive some of those things here, this is a case study from Nokia Navtech with Domino's. So here they wanted to kind of get people driving impulse purchases. They geofenced 5 kilometers of 176 Domino's outlets and put some display ads next to kind of Nokia OV map services and so on. The results were just under a quarter clicked on the map, 10% clicked to call, 8% clicked the web. Actually, a very good kind of overall response rate in terms of what people are doing here. Location can drive success. And another one here kind of is O2 with boomers. So here, 77,000 messages, just to help with some idea of the scale. 18 to 34-year-old men, geofence 1.5 miles from a pub that sells boomers. Text told them to go and get one. The results were that over half recalled the message, over half clicked the link in the text, and actually 25% went on to buy one at the suggested pub, which was kind of in the link based on this case study from O2. So actually, you know, that high degree of targeting, that contextual awareness about where somebody is and kind of getting the right audience there can drive a good set of action. In terms of kind of payments, I'm only going to touch on this one kind of very briefly because Alex and some others are going to talk about it later. But kind of people have been doing this for a while. There are kind of the ability, basically 100% of people can do operator billing. They can buy something with their phone bill, and actually charity donations is a big thing that people kind of do with that SMS billing. Actually kind of when I was at a round table recently and people were talking about mobile payments, and actually people were talking about at least 6 different things, interchangeably getting a bit confused as one person talks about one person responds with something else. I'm not going to attempt to kind of go through all of these, but the principle is actually mobile payment, mobile commerce, we're a bit confused with all this phrasing. We need to understand behaviour and the opportunity and what this kind of means and take that step back and think about what are you trying to achieve. And Alex kind of later will kind of give you some more insight into what some of these things actually mean. I'm going to kind of finish now and summarise, kind of having brought us back nearly on time, so maybe we will get a rendition of Happy Birthday from John at the end, especially for Matt. I'm going to kind of summarise kind of at the end, but kind of one of the things we talked at the beginning about how old technologies sometimes kind of give you that frame of reference for the new technologies going forward, and you need to kind of take a step back from that paradigm and kind of look differently about how that's going to do. I also mentioned about actually if we kind of think about the generational change, it's going to come with another massive step change on top of these things we're already seeing with kids who've kind of grown up with these mobile devices and don't have some of the old hang-ups we do on kind of privacy and all sorts of other things. And actually my daughter tries to change the TV channel by swiping across the TV when she was kind of younger. It kind of changing behaviour there. So kind of thinking about those things, mobile's already kind of fairly big. We're kind of seeing that actually customers are using mobile in scale for many, many different things. It's photography, it's kind of buying things, it's browsing, it's lots of different devices it's beginning to replace, and they're ahead of the industry. From a retail perspective, actually only about 5 to 20%, depending on who you believe, of retailers have a mobile optimized presence. And yet we saw some of the stats about how many people are trying to interact. It needs to kind of change, kind of needs to catch up. But one size doesn't fit all. You kind of need to understand your customers and your business objectives. If you start with understanding what those are, then you can think about what do you deliver and in what order do you deliver it. Do you start with an app? Do you start with messaging? Do you start with the mobile web? Actually, that kind of depends on your unique circumstances. There's not a simple answer for that one. Then you need to deliver it well. And then you've got to listen and learn and adapt from the things that you're kind of seeing. But importantly, you've got to try and make sure that you're not defining mobile using the old paradigms. You're not just kind of seeing mobile as a shrunk down PC. You're not just seeing mobile as mobile marketing. You're seeing it in its broader kind of sense to make the right business decisions for you. And hopefully not do this. And I've seen too many examples where mobile seems to have been chucked in just to kind of tick the box. I see from some grins from other people at agencies that they probably experienced some similar kind of things. So kind of, thank you very much for kind of listening. I'll make that slide deck available afterwards for you to download from Matt and the team. So you can kind of hopefully take some of those numbers, use some of those numbers to kind of influence your boss, influence your business decisions, and kind of use mobile in a way that really works for you. Thank you for your time.